Hello friends, tonight we're going to take a look at the Microtech Dirac. I am very surprised by how much I like this knife. I generally don't like the smaller knives. This is probably my favorite of the smaller OTFs. I really like it. This thing is awesome. For years, consumers asked Microtech for an OTF with the button on the top, and this is that knife. I'll tell you up front, it's fantastic. I reviewed the larger Dirac Delta back in 2019, and I enjoyed it too, but I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed this knife. This thing is killer. But for most of you, the smaller Dirac, this one will be the right size. The Dirac is delightfully small, and by that I mean it's small enough to be very light, it'll never get in the way in your pocket, but it's still a useful knife. This isn't some cute manufacturing oddity, this is a damn useful piece of equipment that weighs almost nothing. When I first picked this knife up, I immediately noticed how good the action feels. It's really nice. I'm no stranger to Microtechs, but this one feels spectacular. I don't want to put it down. This knife came from Southern Edges. Mike has the best Microtech selection I've ever seen. He gets all the cool stuff and a lot of it. That is the place for Microtechs. When you pick this knife up, you immediately notice the interesting size. For me, the UTX 70 is often just a little too small. This knife is a hair smaller than the UTX 85 and weighs a little bit less. I'm very impressed with the size. So let's take a look at the fine details. Features. The Dirac is a top button fired double action OTF, meaning that when we push the button forward, the blade deploys, and when we pull it rearward, the blade retracts back into the handle. The handle is about 4.3 inches long and is made of 6061 T6 aluminum. The blade is 2.92 inches long, giving this knife an overall length of 7.25 inches when the blade is deployed. You'll see blades made of Carpenter XHP, 204P, Bowler M390, and LMAX, the usual Microtech steels that you see. Another reason I buy from Southern Edges is to get the exact blade steel that I want. I am very particular about the blade steels, and Mike always has the steels labeled correctly. Other retailers are not so careful about this, and it drives me nuts. Anyway, this knife weighs a scant 2.37 ounces. That is extremely light. The Diracs are presently only produced with the signature Microtech double-edge blade, either with this excellent black coating or a stone-washed finish. Both are very attractive. At the bottom of the knife, you'll see the usual Microtech glass breaker. Get that up a little closer to the camera. Yeah, just like you see on a lot of the others. And on the back is a very robust pocket clip with the knife's birth date printed on it. The screws are the usual proprietary Microtech ones. Very beautiful. And the button has this lovely geometric stair-step pattern. So why should you choose this Microtech? Well, usually I take a moment to talk about why you might choose this brand over another. In this size class, it's hard to find anything comparable. The small brand tags are excellent, but they don't offer this blade shape or button position. And I really do like the double edge, especially for something that I might carry for defense. The Benchmade OTFs tend to be a bit larger and of much lower quality, so let's leave them out. Really, the small Microtechs are kind of in a league of their own. There are competitors, but you're buying one of these to own a Microtech, most likely. So how does the Dirac compare to the other Microtechs? As we talked about in the intro, this one is very small. It's larger than the UTX 70, but just a little smaller and a bit lighter than the 85. Knowing that it's almost the size of the 85, let's compare it to the Ultratech. Actually, let's do it like that. So there's the Ultratech handle there with the blades deployed. Hope those are actually in frame. Some Microtech fans have said that the UTX 85 isn't enough smaller and lighter than the Ultratech. If you feel that way, then the Dirac is going to be the right size for you. There's a greater difference between the Dirac and the Ultratech, but the Dirac is still large enough to be a perfectly useful knife, as you can see. The SOCOM, a knife I carry pretty often, is much larger than the Dirac. The Cypher, as you can see, is also much bigger than the Dirac. It doesn't even fit in the frame here. And what the hell, let's put my Halo out there too. Good lord, that thing's big. That definitely doesn't fit in frame. So you can see that the Dirac is very small. I would argue that the Dirac is the smallest and lightest that a knife can be while still being useful. How has the Dirac performed? Like every Microtech I've had, the action is amazing and the knife feels great in my hand. So let's talk about feel first. The Dirac is long enough that I can grip it easily. Sometimes I feel like I struggle with the UTX 70 a little bit. It's just a little too small. But on the Dirac, the jimping is in all the right places and it's just the right size. I generally don't like small knives, but this one feels right to me. The action is incredibly smooth. Among the smoothest I've ever felt on an OTF. My Ultratechs feel great, but generally they aren't quite this smooth. And don't take my word for it. Let's take a look and see if that comes through. Yeah, I don't know if that comes through on camera, but Dirac is just a hair smoother. Opening and closing this knife is almost effortless. Whatever Microtech did with the action, it's awesome. The size and weight of this knife make it perfect for EDC if you're one of those folks looking for the smallest, lightest knife. I'm not one of those people. I often carry Cyphers, my Halo, a SOCOM, but if I needed something small, I really think the Dirac is what I'd choose. It's so damn comfortable in your pocket. Less than 2.5 ounces is crazy light, and the wide pocket clip is very nice. But what about that double-edged blade? What is that knife really for? Well, this particular blade shape is really best suited to defense. This isn't a knife to use to cut an apple for lunch, although it will do that. It would be far better for poking an assailant should you be attacked in a dark parking lot, let's say. Microtech makes other blade shapes that are excellent for tool tasks, like their single edge, but none of those blade shapes have made their way to the Dirac yet, likely because it would ruin the striking symmetry, I would imagine anyway. Microtech cares about aesthetics, and if you're buying a Microtech, odds are good that you do too. But if you're looking for the smallest, lightest defensive knife that is still useful, this is the one. I can't recommend any other knife for that role more highly than the Dirac. In my opinion, Microtech has the absolute best customer service in the industry. If you buy one of these, they're going to take care of you. What would I change about the Dirac? The knife, this particular model, is excellent. I only wish Microtech would offer some other blade shapes. Yes, it would ruin the symmetry, but we really need a single edge or a Tanto Dirac for tool tasks. That would, for many people, make this the ultimate Microtech. Though I like the big knives, many of you don't, and you tell me often. I hear from a lot of folks who want a model exactly like this to carry every day, though many of you will want the double-edged blade. A few of you want that single edge, or hell, a Tanto, or one of each of them. So hopefully Microtech will release a few additional models. Final thoughts. The Dirac is a great knife, and it's unsurprising that these are selling very, very well. Microtech has managed to strike the perfect balance between size, weight, and costs, while also producing a knife that looks and feels great. It's hard for me to convey to you how good the action feels. I'm very jaded about Microtechs, and these are something special. So if you need a small defensive knife, this is one I'd definitely look at. If you simply want something new and exciting to throw in your pocket from time to time, this is also one to look at for that too. The Dirac's just super cool. So thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to you soon. Good night. And I'm going to keep playing with this damn thing.